Alright, so this is Tales of Xillia, 20% Milla.
Onward!
Milla is the standardly run category of this game. The Japanese community has done some Jude runs, but there isn't really a standard route for it. Not that the American community knows of. Main reason most people run Milla is because, not necessarily because it's faster, which it is, but because it's just a lot easier for a number of reasons. And, well, you start off with Milla, who's very overpowered, gotta skip this tutorial, and I thought I had the really good monster alignment. If they're like lined up perfectly, you can actually one-shot them. But picking that up was worthless. Yeah, those jet black feathers mean nothing for the speedrun. So we got a few fights here. These are basically the standard tutorial fights where they show you how to play the game, and we're just gonna destroy them with Undine. It's a very overpowered move. They give it to you at the very beginning. However, the game is gonna take it away pretty soon.
Look at the size of this place. They must be working on something big.
Attack!
I mustn't relax my guard, honestly, with all of you around.
Yeah, I'm really sorry about the washing machine in the background. I guess the noise gate will only work when I'm not talking. So here we have what's technically the first boss, but not really much of a boss.
Is that a freak?
You are correct. The Lord of Fire.
I can't believe you were able to summon him. That wasn't...
You think you guys have bad? I can barely hear my TV audio. Alright. So, you just joined the party. The other main protagonist. Very important to skip this tutorial here. What you see here is the Lilium Orb, which is basically the stat and skill development system of this game. Kind of like the Sphere Grid in Final Fantasy X, where the game basically lets you choose what stats you improve and what abilities you learn in whatever order you want. A little bit different because unlike FF10, which has one Sphere Grid for all characters, each character has their own Lilium Orb, and thus each character can only learn certain arts and skills. There are a few times where we're going to manually develop the Lilium Orb, but later in the run you're going to see, for the most part, we're just going to use the auto level to get through pretty quickly. And yes, this game also has levels, so as you gain experience and levels, you gain GP, which allows you to use the Lilium Orb. So, got a few cutscenes here. And after we skip these cutscenes, Milla is going to be nerfed significantly. We no longer have the 4 Great Spirits, which means we can't destroy counters with Undine like we just did. So now we're just going to use Windblade.
I feel much stronger! You're really coming into your own!
Windblade, who's next? All clear.
Do I not have a, I not have alerts turned off? That's weird. Maybe I'll just turn off the, thought I had my alerts turned off. Well, at least it was, something related to this game, right?
I'm sorry to have put you in this situation.
It's okay. Besides, I still owe you for saving me. I'll show you to the Sea Haven. After crossing the Central Plaza, turn right at the first corner.
I don't know why. I thought turning off alerts on my OBS would get rid of those. I don't know why. So I'll just mute my desktop audio for now.
I feel much stronger! You're really coming into your own!
Oops. Was not paying attention there. Actually, that I don't even know if desktop audio is the problem. Okay. All right. So that fixes some things. Alright, so we're getting into the, no, this is on, PlayStation 3. We're getting into the Link Dart tutorial, which is unique to this particular Tales game.
Finish this quickly. Windblade, farewell! Windblade, farewell! Next!
So, this fight we're just gonna, Windblade through it, but if you watch the tutorial, they show you how to about the link system. Basically, this game allows you to link two characters together, which
right there with you, buddy.
has a lot of benefits. Like, what it does is it causes them to like share like certain skills. So like as you level up, you gain these skills, and some of these skills have link property. Oh. I wonder if I picked up the items in the lab. I might have missed them, but it shouldn't be a big problem. We're gonna get plenty. Might have missed them with all the ruckus going on. Very important though, I pick up this chest here, because it has materials that I need to donate for a weapon soon. So, okay. Alright. I don't think that you guys heard that, because I turned off the desktop audio. Alright. Alright. Another tutorial skip here.
My fire! Okay. Area fire! Thunder blade! Over! Okay. Final down! Area fire! Go! Roger. Final down!
A little bit of tech that I actually used where I swapped with Jude at the last second, get another link dart. Getting back to what I was talking about with linking characters, characters when they're linked can use certain special link darts. Basically, you saw in that battle there was a gauge on the left side of the screen. It's called the overlimit gauge. Overlimit is a little different in this than it is in other Tales games. So basically, as you fight, as you stay linked with a character, the gauge charges, and once it reaches certain levels, you can use something called a link dart, like a special type of art that two characters do together. And when the gauge fills up completely, you can activate overlimit, which means you can use an unlimited amount of link darts as long as you are in overlimit. You're in overlimit until the gauge goes completely down. You can chain link darts together without having to use the art required to activate the link dart, provided that it's a different link dart than the one that you've used in the chain. And also you can switch your link partner during the chain to do like multiple different types of link darts. I mentioned before that linking with characters has the benefit of sharing certain skills. It also, however, can have some negative side effects. Like, it causes characters to share, like, to some extent share, like, healing and damage. Like, if a character gets healed, the link partner takes, hold on, I'm gonna do this menu first. Can't get it. Alright, so what I was saying was that the, if a character gets healed and they're linked, your link partner gets healed by 25% of whatever the character got healed. On the flip side, if a character takes damage, your link partner will take 25% of the damage. Also, status effects are shared, both positive and negative. So basically, like any buffs that, like attack boost, magic art boost that a character gets, their link partner gets if they are linked. But if they get like a negative status effect, like burn or what is it called? Is it called fear or something? But basically, negative status effects are also shared between characters and their link partner. So there is a bit of risk and reward to it. I'm picking up some chests here for mainly items. This game also has something called the auto item system, which you saw me doing in that menu earlier. Basically, I don't know when it was introduced in the series, but you can set items to be basically kind of like gambits in Final Fantasy XII, where when your characters like reach certain HP or TP thresholds, your auto characters will automatically use an item. Basically, you get to set the priority which items are used, what items can be used, the conditions under which they can be used, and also the restrictions, so when they have to stop using items depending on how many you have left. So when I mention priority, I mean if two item conditions are both met, the one of higher priority will take precedence. Also, there's a brief tutorial on Ifrit treasures, which you're not going to see much of in the run, but we are going to be picking up a few of them. So coming up here, I'm going to be doing my first shop menu. Shops in this game work differently than most other RPGs, not just Tales games, but not like most RPGs, when you go to a different town, it has a different shop inventory. In this game, there is one universal shop. Like, basically, every shop of a certain category that you visit is going to have the same inventory as one you would visit in another town. The way it works is that the game has shop levels, and I'll just show you, and so you'll just kind of briefly see what I'm talking about in a second. So basically, all your shops have levels. There are 5 different shops: item, weapon, armor, accessory, and food vendor. They all start at level 1, and they start with very weak inventory. There's not really much you can buy. To increase the items that you can buy from it, you have to basically give the shops experience. Give it shop points, which levels up the shop. The ways you can do it are by buying items from the shop, donating gold, or the main way we're going to be doing it in the run is donating materials, which you saw me pick up. The only shops you're going to actually be seeing me deal with in this run are item, weapon, and food vendor. Food vendor is the one that you're going to be seeing me use the most for experience, for reasons I'll get to shortly. Weapons we'll use a little just to increase our weapon DPS, and then items obviously we need to buy throughout the game. Food vendor is one we're going to be putting the most... Actually, Weapon Shop actually gets the most by the end. But Food Vendor's the one we're probably going to be purchasing from the most. Now, the ways you can pick up materials are... I mean, the primary way you do it is by picking up, like, these gathering points or loot bags on the field, which you're going to be seeing me do much later in the run. I'm not going to be doing it much in the beginning, because the thing about loot bags and gathering points is they are random. Hold on.
It looks like we can climb up here.
Well, after you, milady.
Alright, slight interruption. There. But, what I was, getting at is, basically, it's random what appears in those gathering points and loot bags.
Whoa,
You
that's
could
something.
get something really good,
Like spears of stone
or
jutting
you
out
could
of
get
the sea.
just
They
gold,
say you
which
get unusual
helps, but is
terrain
not
like
really
this at
necessary.
points
Or you
where
can
two
get
spirit
black
climbs
feathers,
collide.
which are completely useless. So, I'm not really going to be picking up any of those until much later, when I actually need to upgrade the weapon shop for a better weapon for Milla. But throughout the run, I'm going to be picking up these chests that have fixed materials in, so you know exactly what's going to be in them. And now we have the first boss, which is kind of also a tutorial on overlimit that we're going to skip. Or chaining, I think it is.
Let's go! Roger! Let's go! Roger! Aerial fire! One! Roger! Not yet!
This guy is a pretty standard boss. I mean, we're looking with Alvin here, because he has this link skill called Breaker. I didn't actually get into that, but characters also, when you link with a party member, they have, like, unique link skill, where they will, like, do a certain thing at certain times. Oh. I have a link gauge. Or at a certain threshold. We're having Milla cast Fireball. Like, just does fire.
The guard's down. Shoot!
That's probably the worst move, actually. Aside from this, which is pretty slow, and it's also... That one, and it's actually better to store one Vortex than to guard that one.
Not yet! That's one!
Ready when you are.
That actually, I think, counts as a guard, because sometimes Alvin can Breaker on that. Hopefully I don't have to use overlimit again. In fact, I'm gonna try not to. Because I want to have a full link gauge. Perfect.
And that's
Alright, I didn't need to use another overlimit.
That was possible.
We should practice chaining our attacks for the future.
I
Just keep.
Also, fun fact, I don't know if any of you have heard of Matt Mercer, but he actually is Alvin's voice actor. I could have gone a little bit better, but I actually now have a full overlimit gauge for the next boss, which is one of, if not, the scariest bosses in the entire run. That'll help out a lot. So, as you can see, this game, just like all Tales games, does not have random encounters. Monsters are on the field. Basically, when you get close enough to a monster, they basically notice you, and then they come after you. We're gonna try it. It's not too hard to avoid enemies, like on the so-called. It's not really a world map, but basically on world map fields, they're not as narrow. so it's easier to avoid enemies. But in certain
That mountain
dungeons,
beyond the village
like the
sure is
one that I'm
something.
going to be
That's the
going
Neokara Hollow
to in,
It's a
I don't know,
special
maybe
land where 4
20
spirit
minutes?
climbs meet.
Or maybe like 15.
Compared to the...
Yeah, certain maps are very, very narrow, and thus it's much harder to avoid enemies.
Here
We're
we
just
go.
picking
This
up
must be one
these
of the
stones
temple-
to advance the story.
Correct. We need 3 more, just like that.
There we go. All 4 temporal stones.
I appreciate your efforts. Let's bring them to the shrine beyond the village.
Right now, we're just heading off to Milla's shrine. Rest of the story. Also, if you do get an encounter, like the rate at which you can escape from an encounter depends on your party level relative to that of the enemies. Unless you have the chicken run skill, which we will get with a certain character later. Because she's Maxwell, that's why.
Wasn't Alvin with you?
No, I think he went back to the village.
There really is no place I feel more at home.
I only picked that thing up because I'm actually going to be selling quite a few things in the next shop so that I can buy as many items as I can. Because I need quite a lot of items for this next boss fight. Very dangerous boss. So after these cutscenes, I'm actually going to get the world map, which is basically, I guess, quick jump in other Tales games, but basically it's instant travel. You can warp back to any location you've visited. And in some cases, like, if you've visited a location and the room you're in is, like, connected to that location, you can actually skip some rooms, as you'll see later. Skip some maps. But basically, it eliminates the need to walk all the way back through certain areas that you've already been through. Thanks for the good luck, Papa. And now we've met our next party member, Elise, who is a great character, very useful to run. He hasn't actually joined as a party member yet, but in a certain battle she joins. So basically I just used the map warp to go back to the Sea Haven instead of having to walk all the way back. However, there are certain times when the map is disabled because of story triggers, and you have to view certain cutscenes, so they actually force you to go to certain places by foot, even if you've already been there. And also, we're going to start a sub-event, basically, or a side quest, which technically is optional, but we're going to do it anyway because it gives us a very good material as a reward, which we're going to donate for shop points towards the food vendor. NPC. As you just saw, sometimes the NPCs, if you start moving too quickly, they don't spawn right away and you don't actually see them until like a few seconds after. Alright, a little thing I just did there was I actually bought, after selling my items that I don't need, I actually bought exactly 8 life bottles, which puts the item shop at level 2, which lowers the price of the apple and orange gels. So I was able probably to buy a little, maybe like 1 extra orange gel. Like that. And now I'm actually going to pick up my first food item. Ooh, I think the washing machine isn't quite as loud anymore. So basically, food works a little bit differently in this than in earlier Tales games. Like, food in this game was... food in like earlier games or cooking was more complicated because you had to like buy different materials and then you had to give those materials to a certain character and have them cook after the fight, and then RNG would decide whether or not the cook was successful. I think it was based on luck stat. But in this game, it's different. Basically, you buy like a pack of food usages, and then you use it in the menu outside of battle, and then for the next several, however number of fights it lasts, it will always work. So this is the fight where Elise joins. Not going to use any linked arts here so that I have the full over limit gauge for the next boss, which is Zhao. Basically the gatekeeper to all Tales of Xillia speedruns. If you're interested in running this game, you're probably going to be practicing Zhao the most. He's very dangerous. You're going to die to him.
A grand victory!
It's normal.
Amazing, Elise.
That was exhausting.
Just keep...
Oh, it's back. Sorry. Alright. Now, let me talk about one of the, my least favorite things about this game is the fact that you have to actually, in this game, you have to climb and jump off of certain terrains to get around the maps. And here's the thing, it has to be, you have to be, like, to actually climb or jump off something, you have to basically be facing a certain spot, framed perfectly.
Clothes stuck.
or else you cannot actually press X and go through. As you saw, I kind of struggled a bit getting through that hole because I wasn't in the exact spot. Casually, this is not a problem, but in a speedrun, it can be very bad because if there's an enemy, like, right behind you and you fail to, like, climb or jump off something, the enemy gets right behind you and you get a back attack. As this game has different types of encounters, like if you attack someone from behind after they've noticed you, it counts as like a normal preemptive where they take a little bit of damage. If you attack them from behind when they haven't noticed you, it's a full preemptive where they actually get stunned. And if they attack you and you're not directly facing them and you don't have the back support skill that Elise eventually gets, you get a back encounter, which means the enemies surround you. There's also encounter links, which happen if, like, multiple, if another monster is close to you. Hold on, I just want to check something. Okay, I just wanted to double check that I got the chest there, because that's pretty important. Got materials that I need to donate later. I'm going to bait this. Okay, we got around it. Alright, menu time. Alright, so, for this next boss fight, I'm just gonna be kind of silent so I can concentrate, and then I'll explain what's going on after. That's the right one. And now meet Zhao.
You need to come with me.
No! I don't want to!
Listen to me.
Well, you're one to talk.
Divine chaos! Demon Fist, go! Ready when you are. Divine chaos! Demon Fist!
Take that off.
Charge!
Oh well. Sharing is caring. Ouch. What you're kind of seeing here is you're using Elise's Tipo Drain skill to fill up the link gauge while stealing some of Jude's HP and CP. Ooh. And what I'm doing is like an up attack and then Soaring Vortex combo to try and keep Zhao under control. Basically, you have to time it so that... okay. Getting dangerous here. Ooh. And, he also starts with 2 wolves, and you can call wolves or more enemies throughout. Ooh, I got another wolf. Alright, we got him down.
Demon Fist, go!
Go, Tipo! Sharing is caring!
Okay, focus! Focus!
Go, Tipo! Sharing is caring!
Milla!
Go, Tipo!
For another
Sharing
boss.
is caring!
Girls don't like pesky guys. Ain't that right?
Well, you're not much better.
Ouch. Keep that up, I'll sew your mouth up. I just...
I feel...
Alright, so, I actually set Milla and Alvin to spread out in the strategy menu earlier so that they would take care of the other enemies. So, basically, Jude was doing almost all of the damage on Zhao. As I was trying to say, basically,
you had
there's
to
like
see
this
me like
up
that.
attack and Soaring Vortex combo where basically human enemies, you hit them with Soaring Vortex, they'll either do an aerial recovery or they'll land flat on their back. And then after they either do the aerial recovery or land on their back, you can do another up attack and another Soaring Vortex. Very useful on Zhao, especially since he's weak to wind and Soaring Vortex is wind elemental. And also, I turned off Elise's Pixie Circle ability so that she wouldn't heal and waste our TP, since we had plenty of Ablagels. And I instead got lots of Tipo Drains, which is Elise's partner skill. It absorb, or I don't know, actually, I don't think it actually damages the enemy, but it heals both
what a huge
Elise and her link
city.
partner
I've
with
never been
HP
anywhere
and
like
TP,
this
which in this
before.
case was
Hey,
Jude, which is
there's
really
two-
helpful because he's using
What?
a lot of
Are you nervous
TP
about something?
with Soaring
one's ever
Vortex,
asked me
and
over for
he's
tea
taking
before.
quite a bit of damage.
Seems I'm a bit excited.
And then, obviously, when the Link gauge met certain thresholds, I would use Final Gale, which is a Link Dart Jude can do with Milla, which is also Wind Elemental. In Overlimit, you can also do Demonic Chaos with Alvin. The thing you have to be careful of is this game, unlike, I don't know when they added this to Tales games, but this game has something called Iron Stance on bosses, where you'll see this blue exclamation mark appear over their head. And when that mark appears, basically, they are going to guard whatever combo you have them in, and they are going to break through it and do an attack.
The dedication of these
And
centuries
so you got to
their
be
mission.
prepared to
But if
guard.
they stand
If
in
you are
my
not
way,
guarding,
I will have
especially
no
when he does
choice
that
but to cut
Devil's
them
Maul
down.
attack, you are going to die.
It's worth taking the time to do it right. With this strategy, everyone will be fighting at their...
Well, it it clearly wasn't in Symphonia, because you can get behind Kratos and just spam, Tiger Blade. Like, almost, and basically it just counts as a guard blade. In this game, combos are never in.
Very impressive. You too. I believe we show great promise.
So this is a
Fireball! So what you saw there was the introduction to... First, we're gonna go back to Alati C given to finish that subquest and get the material that gives us a lot of shop points. basically, we were introduced to Rowan, the most broken character in the game, with the most broken move in the game, which, ironically, is the first move he gets, Fireball. It's so OP for a number of reasons. Because each character has their own, like, certain, like, special ability in this game, where they can, like, do a certain thing that other characters can't. Rowan's ability is called Art Tuning, which allows him to enhance his arts in spirit arts in certain ways. And what Art Tuning does for Fireball is it allows him to shoot 4 fireballs for the cost of 1. Not only that, but Fireball homes, provided that when the enemy is close enough. Like if the enemy is like flying and like in the air, the fireball will like float up towards it. It also does insane damage, and it can inflict the burn status, which, while it's terrible when you get it, it's great when the enemy gets it. In this game, I don't think any boss in the game is immune to status effects. Like, any boss can be burned. The final boss, the game's super boss, can be burned. And burn is a very OP status effect because it, like, gradually depletes an enemy's HP by, like, a percentage of their max HP. So the more HP an enemy has, the more they're going to lose. And they lose it pretty fast. Also, this is like one of if not the worst. Actually, this is probably the worst place to get encounters. Get them, because you're very underleveled. Also, this game is played on semi-auto for a number of reasons, one of which is Rowan, because semi-auto gives you auto-aim, which basically every time Rowan casts Fireball, he will automatically be positioned towards the enemy that he is targeting, whereas on manual you would have to, it'd be harder because you'd have to do it yourself. Also, it allows you to use up arts, basically the up art setup without jumping, which is good for Jude's Soaring Vortex combo, in order to be able to do that up attack and Soaring Vortex combo consistently, you need Soaring Vortex set to up art, because you have to hold up on the analog stick when doing the X attack, and so it helps that you can just literally hold the analog up while going from X to circle, or whatever you have. I guess you can actually configure your button settings yourself, but basically go from whatever button you have on set to attack to whatever button you have set to art.
You doing okay there?
Another thing about that combo you saw earlier is, in order to do it consistently, at the beginning of the run, you need to set attack input time to long, which I mentioned earlier I had done. Basically, yeah, I shouldn't have gone for that. And this is what I'm talking about. If you're not like directly facing the enemy when you hit the encounter, it counts as a back encounter, and it takes forever to escape. But we got through. I don't think we took too much damage. Basically, in order to do that Soaring Vortex combo consistently, you have to be set to... Your attack input time should be set to long. I should restore first. I shouldn't have restored them, but... Whoops. Just wanted to make sure they didn't like use an item in the middle of the fight. We'll get more items in the next shop. This boss, you're gonna basically see how broken Fireball is. However, he can kind of troll. Especially, there's this one particular move that he can do that's pretty dangerous.
I sense a strong amount of
He doesn't do it.
energy emanating
Alright.
from it.
Was the main
Fine.
objective creating this thing?
Something's not right. I think I know.
You can analyze it after the battle.
I'm only linking with Jude here to basically keep him away from the enemy. But basically, what you're seeing is I'm casting Fireball with Rowan, and then I'm using Milla's Splash to try and keep the boss in place and prevent it from moving. But unfortunately, Splash is all we have at this point. We're going to get another move that helps with it later. But since we only have Splash right now, it's a little bit harder. Plus, Rowan, this is like the one boss fight in the game where Rowan doesn't basically have infinite TP. Like, eventually Rowan gets these skills that makes it pretty much impossible for him to ever run out of TP, but he hasn't happened yet, so it's the one fight where you can see Rowan eating orange gels.
Quite the nuisance.
But it sure was
That went fairly well.
I don't believe it evolved naturally.
Then that would mean...
Just keeps.
Alright, chat. Make your decision. Which is better, Fireball or Paraball? I vote Fireball. Paraball got nerfed anyway.
You have my...
Also, another thing you saw me doing with Rowan there was I didn't get to explain, but after the 4th Fireball, I was guard canceling with him. Basically, like, start the casting for the next spell faster. Like, after the 4th Fireball comes out, you can actually immediately cancel and start the next cast, and thus get more Fireballs out. We're gonna get basically an unwinnable fight here. Just a story fight. But we're actually going to use it for something pretty important. It's an important manipulation for the final boss. Basically, we're just going to try and avoid damage here.
I'll heal you. I'm here.
To avoid using auto items. Oh, another thing about playing on semi-auto is that if if a party member is standing completely still, they will actually do like an auto guard. I don't think the solid guard skill works with that though. I think you take more damage from auto guard than you do with normal guard if you have solid guard. Now this is probably one of the first major difference between the Jude route and the Milla route is Milla goes to jail and Jude has to rescue her, and the enemies that you fight on Milla's side actually give like boss-like experience because she's the only character in the party. But on Jude's side they give like nothing, so it leaves you quite underleveled on Jude's side, but Milla's side gets very good EXP. I'm just expanding my shops here. We want, need Food Vendor to be at least level 16 to buy the, Beef Bowl. And also, I expanded the weapons to give Milla a weapon upgrade. Alright. I'm gonna spend the rest on, Alright. We can make do with 7.
Tipo, where are you? What do I do without you?
Oh! Oops. You know, actually, I'm going to take a death here because I made a mistake. Big one.
Isn't good.
I forgot to menu. But luckily, the game lets you retry, and it gives you the chance to menu right before. So, you're going to fix that. Now, this is actually pretty important. You gotta make sure you activate this node before you auto her, because otherwise you don't get level restore, which kills her automatically. Alright, now we're ready.
The likes of you will not stop me.
Alright, so that's a neat little combo you can do. Basically, by guarding after the flare bomb and then jumping, you can kind of activate the grave art a little bit faster. And there's something in this game called the hit counter, or the AC counter. I think it was introduced in races, where it basically affected like all arts. In this game, it doesn't affect arts, but it affects combos, and it decides how many attacks you can hit in a row. Also, I picked up that chest there because it has holy bottles, which I don't think anyone knew about. But 2 holy bottles is actually kind of nice for a few dungeons you got coming up. And as you saw, level restore completely healed my TP and HP after that first fight.
He's next. Let us move onward.
Didn't the last Grace's F run not finish? Alright, we got a bunch of cutscene skips here. Basically what's happening is Milla is insanely dedicated to her mission and forgets the fact that she has these cuffs on her legs. And so when she goes past the barrier, she becomes paralyzed from the waist down. And now, even though we're on Milla's side, the game actually forces you to play as Jude. How strange is that? That makes sense. Also, soon you get to meet the worst character in the game. Luckily, it's the only time you'll see him, but unfortunately, he can be a pain in the rear end. But we're basically his name is Ivor, but basically we're gonna use the same combo on Ivor that we used on Zhao. Although it's gonna be a lot more effective, like he's much less likely to Iron Stance. And we're also gonna incorporate Steel into that. Even if he does get an attack off, because we got all that experience in Fort Gandala, Jude should be fine to survive at least one. Plus, we're going to elixir him during the fight. If you were doing on Jude's side, though, pretty much one attack from Ivor is probably it. Because on Jude's side, Jude is severely underleveled at this point.
Over already?
Because the way, when party members, in this game, when party members leave, their level, or the amount, they're like in a shadow party where they gain whatever experience the Milla gained. Okay? I'm not gonna forget the menu again. Oh, that's bad. Only have 4 for you only have 4 orange gels. I think I'm gonna actually buy a restock after the Ivor fight. Slight detour if I don't forget to do it. Of course. Alright.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I hope I made the right choice with...
How very odd. When you carry me on your back like this, I can't help but remember flying with Sil.
Come on, is Dawn of the New World really that bad? May not have been a great sequel, but is it like like a broken game? At least the PS3 version didn't have the stupid motion controls. Time to concentrate.
How dare you allow this to happen? Shut up! I don't need to hear your excuses. I tried. I said shut up! It's time for you to pay for your sins, you bastard! Focus! 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 Steal! Focus!
This isn't good.
Terror spin!
Not yet!
Lightning flash!
Oh boy. Okay. That was not smart on my part.
How dare you allow this to happen? Shut up! I don't need to hear your excuses. I tried. I said shut up! It's time for you to pay for your sins, you bastard! Focus! 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 Phantom edge! Focus! Focus!
Alright.
I must fulfill my duties.
Yes, he is. Just that character you want to go away. Alright, that first death was kind of my fault. I shouldn't have used the elixir when he was on the ground. I should have stepped back, and that gave him a chance to I'm going to buy items now. I mean, it's gonna get spent anyway, but for marathon safety, I'm just gonna buy the gels right now. You actually have to wait a bit before you can get the cutscene there. Now, here we are in Jude's hometown, where we're gonna meet the final party member in the game, Leia. It's kind of like a secondary healer. Elise is the main healer in this game. Leia can learn some healing abilities, but not the really good ones like Elise can. They can both learn Resurrection, but I think only Elise can learn Nurse. Leia learns more like single target healing skills, although that's not what we're going to be using her for.
They say that back during the mining...
Oh, I'm sorry. My mic wasn't on. What I was trying to say is that I activated the holy bottle for this particular dungeon. First, we get to play a minigame that I will never be good at. Apparently, you have to get like 5 shines to destroy this. Usually, you always get it in 3 cycles. However, if you're really good at mashing, you can get it in 2, which I'm not. But anyways, yeah, this dungeon is very linear. Like, you'll see these paths, there's not a lot of wiggle room. And so if there's an enemy here, and you don't have the holy bottle, it's very hard to get around them.
An earthquake?
The holy bottle here is actually going to make the enemies, like, run away from me. Which is good in that they won't come after me, and I'll have an easier time getting through, but bad because sometimes they go in a direction that's actually blocking my way. I wonder, is turbo allowed on this game? I don't think this game doesn't have a separate leaderboard for Japanese runs. So I think turbo may actually be permitted. We don't have rules. I actually got a PB a few days ago. I got a 314. So if I wanted to actually make serious world record attempts, I should probably get one of those. Also, another thing that it's technically allowed, though I haven't seen many runners do it, is you can actually select New Game Plus and load a New Game Plus file, provided that you don't make any grade purchases, which basically makes you start the game as you would on New Game. However, that also has a few benefits because there are certain things that carry over automatically even without grade purchase, such as your battle book and your item data. Battle book basically has like all the tutorials, and if something's already in your battle book, you're not going to get one of those like tutorial boxes at the end of fights. Like sometimes at the end of fights, this game gives you like if you discover a status effect for the first time, the game will show like a brief box that kind of explains the status effect. But if it's already in your battle book, which it is on New Game Plus, the text box doesn't appear. That probably saves some frames. Also, since your item data is in, you can actually set all of your auto items from the beginning. Oh, actually, I already did the menu. Time for the most Broly boss of the game. But what I was saying is that in order to add something to your auto items, it has to be in your item data. You don't necessarily have to have the item in your inventory, but it has to have been recorded.
Source of energy. I can't think of any other explanation.
Let's just focus on beating it.
I haven't been running with Turbo or New Game Plus file up to this point. This is the most Broly boss in the game, Hammer Zam. This boss is an absolute nightmare if you're on G's side. Milla's side, he's not as likely to kill you, but he can just waste time by going around the field, which is why I'm using Soaring Vortex regularly with you, try and keep him down as much as possible, and then when my link gauge fills up, we're going to link arc with Leia. Actually, ooh, I got the stun. This kills him. I should still, yeah. So, if you don't use all of your overlimit gauge,
Or because we're childhood friends.
basically because the enemy dies like from the first link dart in the overlimit, your gauge starts off wherever it was during the overlimit. So we have almost full overlimit gauge beginning of this next phase, which is the really annoying one. He has more HP. I think he's more likely to waste time with his, I think it's called Ravaging Rush. I know Symphonia doesn't allow, Turbo. It actually implicitly says in the rules, no third-party controllers. But the world record for this game has used it. I'm actually gonna link with Milla, try and get some binds, and while having Leia cast Sharpness, which you're gonna be seeing a lot of throughout the run. Basically, Sharpness boosts physical attack and art attack. So it's gonna boost the damage that we do with Fireball later. But now it's just gonna boost damage of just everything. Oh. This is what I'm talking about, how he can just troll. In fact, it's better to... Yeah, and sometimes he'll do that, where he'll just come up for a second, make you think that he's gonna go down. Alright. Okay, I think... Nope, not yet. At least I haven't wasted my overlimit. It's actually best to not be linked with anybody when he, does that. Take less damage, and also they'll go into their auto guard phase. There's that. Oh, that's like the worst attack he can do. Like that actually, if you're unlucky and you're not guarding, he can actually one-shot you even from full health. Sometimes. Ooh, go away. Luckily, Leia can heal us with the first aid and necessary use resurrection. This is like probably the biggest run killer in terms of wasting time in this fight. I think Bell had some strats for this. Like I've seen runners actually use a more advanced overlimit with a bunch of different arts. I haven't really learned it, and honestly, I'm not even sure if it does more damage than just using a second Tempest Flash and Skill Strike. One of these fights. The RNG worm, I think is what Wandering Minds call this. Co-op actually isn't that great in this game because the thing is, when a character is linked, they automatically become auto characters, even if they're set to like another controller. So it really limits what you can do with co-op. This, unfortunately. Oh boy. I actually want her to use a life bottle, so I am going to... Oh, she's done! Okay, actually...
Please! I'll cover you!
Alright. Oh, he summoned something! Wow.
Let's see what they got.
They can do this too.
Bullseye win!
Wow, we did it.
Thank goodness you showed up, Milla.
That was
Excellent.
Yeah, there's a Discord. Just keep in mind that you're not a full member until you actually complete a Tales run. Really, the first hour is actually the hardest part of this run. The first hour is where most of the really dangerous fights are, and now things are actually going to get pretty simple, easy. From this point forward, it's save for maybe like a few fights. It's not likely that you're going to die on any fights. It's just that fights are sometimes going to waste time for RNG. That was actually a clever use of map warp to basically, instead of walking back to the dock, the ship area, I just teleported. And then I walked backwards because it actually positions yourself like as if you were coming out of the ship boarding area. Alright. Okay. Now we're gonna, like, auto our characters. Although at the end of this orb, I'm actually going to activate a few nodes for Rowan manually because I want him to learn a specific skill. And you can't actually decide what path the orb takes you on when you auto it. So sometimes if you want to get a certain skill earlier, you have to activate a few nodes as I'm doing here. Also, I think it actually saves some frames to actually do the large camera view while autoing. Oops. So I set a few of my characters to do not link because I don't want it
Spirit
affecting
climb
the
on Kutum
manipulation
keeps
for
the
the final
area cloaked in a
fight.
perpetual golden sunset.
Oh, that sounds so romantic.
Also, since a bunch of our party
Another
members
wall
were gone
scaled.
for a while,
Yay!
basically
One
they
step closer
rejoined.
to
Their levels
adulthood.
were scaled up to whatever,
Don't say that so
or
loud.
to whatever,
You're embarrassing
however
me.
much. Basically, the way it's scaled is that whatever experience Milla got, the rest of the party got, or maybe it's just, or I guess Jude kind of comes into play a bit since he was the only party member for a while. But basically, whatever experience the party members we had got, the party members that were gone received. And not only that, but they also came in with brand new upgraded equipment. This is actually the reason why we don't need to upgrade the armor shop at all. Not in this category, at least. Because when parties leave and return, they're going to actually get brand new equipment. Which is actually probably better than what we could reasonably afford during the speedrun. And in the end, they get really, before a certain boss fight, except for Milla, everyone comes back with really good equipment. And this is another one of the difficulties with the Jude route is that you don't get as many equipment upgrades. And now, you're about to see what's going to be kind of standard for fights for most of the rest of the run.
You have got to be kidding
Fireball,
me.
Darkness, Splash, and Negative Gate. Negative Gate is kind of like a gravity attack that draws enemies in. You can also kind of stun them.
Let's see what they got.
Getting out of oh, well, nasty. Alright. So, as I was saying, Negative Gate is supposed to kind of draw enemies in and also put them in a bit of a stun. And Splash is also kind of serving for that purpose. This is basically so that Fireball is able to actually hit the enemy. Also, I have a skill now which is called spell casting, which allows me to cancel a Rowan. If Rowan is in the middle of a casting animation, and I guard cancel, and I start casting the same art that I was casting again, his cast will basically pick up from wherever it left off. So basically, if an enemy is like moving out of the way during the casting animation, I can actually guard cancel, recast, and then semi-auto will position Rowan right towards the enemy.
Are we really gonna ride a wyvern? They sound really scary.
Okay. I was actually afraid that I might have forgotten to use a food item somewhere, but I didn't. But anyways, basically, you can kind of store spells that way, that you're not, like, wasting fireballs. And in some battles, it's actually better to actually just guard cancel at the very end of a Rowan cast if you think that the enemy is either going to move out of the way or is going to be defeated and you want Rowan to target a different enemy, in which case Rowan will then face the other enemy and instantly cast the fireball.
This is quite a fascinating culture.
But as you saw there is some RNG. Bosses can move around, use Iron Stance to break out of combos, and often kill characters. And another thing is if a character dies and you want auto items to revive them, you basically, at least with one character, pretty much have to stop auto casting their art. Because what I'm actually doing is characters, they're set to protect themselves, which means if you don't actually cast it, or basically I have all their arts set to a shortcut where I spin the right analog stick and in a certain direction, and when it's put in a certain direction, the party member will always cast that specific art. So it's basically a shortcut. And if they're not, and if I'm not actually casting with them, I have them set to protect themselves, which means they're not actually going to do anything except for guard and evade attacks. Alright. Now we got some pretty standard fights here in the Coliseum.
I can do this! I hope.
As you saw me do there, I kind of canceled the fireballs just before he casted them, because I knew that the enemy was going to be defeated by the last fireball, and I wanted to make sure that the next fireball hit the next enemy.
All these statues seem to be of great warriors from eras past.
So when I get super strong, you think they'll make a statue of me too?
Alright, I'm actually going to sell quite a bit of stuff because I'm very low on money and I need to buy another food item. I have this habit of, sometimes it's actually better to press left than right when selling, because left will make sure you sell everything of that item. Alright, we're good. Now, this is one of those instances where Jude and Milla actually split up as part of the story. It's not a major one, but for some reason, this particular story sequence automatically puts Alvin into your party. So we actually have to do a menu before the next set of battles just to swap Alvin out. It's really stupid, but I don't believe there's no way to like manipulate the character order so that Alvin doesn't join here. I think it's because Alvin and Leia are the only ones in the party with Milla at the time of that cutscene I just skipped. And also, you've been seeing me skip cutscenes, which is, for the most part, is faster. However, in a few instances, when when all you have to do is select an option, it's arguably not really much of a time save to skip it, as opposed to just letting it play out and and like, as you're gonna see, if I had hit cutscene skip there, I would have just, they basically would have forced me to pick that option anyways, and so it doesn't really save much, and if you flub it, you can lose time. Also, I put you in the party because while dance can actually help in those fights.
All in a day's work.
Also, even though these are forced fights, because you'll notice, like, after every fight, there's like a victory cutscene. For boss fights and some forced battles, there's a victory cutscene that always happens. However, fights like these, it's actually kind of it's random what cutscene you get in the experience screen based on your party and like who you're linked with. So it's actually, you really don't want to be linked with Leia in any of these fights, because if Rowan and Leia are linked, there's a chance you get this really long victory cutscene where Rowan and Leia dance. It's also one of the reasons why I linked with Elise here, is she actually, her and Rowan have this shared like linked victory cutscene. It's not too long, and the way this game works is that once you've seen a certain victory cutscene, the next time it appears you can skip it before it finishes. So I linked with Elise to get that victory cutscene out of the way so that I can hopefully get that victory cutscene more and get quick skips, quick cutscene, and get through the victory scene faster. So yeah, the game forced me to watch that those cutscenes before I could quick warp to the Coliseum. Like if I had tried to warp to the Coliseum before going there, it wouldn't have, the map would have been disabled. Now we got a pretty annoying fight coming up, the Spire Explorers. They control really hard. You don't get a lease for this fight, so it's harder to control them. And like this, they have these flamethrowers that can just one-shot you if they're close to you. Oh. Hopefully things don't go too badly.
They look quite formidable.
No matter. We will end this quickly.
But look at their weapons. We should be careful.
It does not matter.
Are you ready? Let's go.
Also, they can use items. Not only slow animation-wise, but obviously they destroy them, and it's really annoying. Another thing is that you really don't want characters to be dead at the end of fights because the experience tree in this game is very tight.
This is my mission.
So if a character misses experience, they're probably not going to get skills at certain points when you want them, and abilities. So now we're heading to the Royal Hunting Grounds to find Elise and Alvin. Who are located in Lavery Hollow, another linear area where you're going to be seeing me use a holy bottle. I hope we're okay on money. I don't have to, like, sell anything extra. It's also why I didn't buy apple gels in that shop earlier, because I thought it was going to be...
Take care to be the hunters.
It was going to cause problems.
Sounds good to me. Sorry to be such a burden back there. I'll try to be more careful.
Oh boy. Ooh! I couldn't really see that one. Unfortunately, I don't have Chicken Run now. And it's or back support. It was kind of hard to see that guy. You know what? Maybe I should have just used the holy bottle sooner. Well, actually, no. The thing is that if you use the Holy Bottle earlier, it's probably not going to last all the way through Lavery Hollow. It usually runs out, like, just as you're exiting Yondu, so... And I still have this next screen. Gonna pick this up. Materials. I'm just gonna check to see if I need anything. In fact, I only two. I only need to buy 2. All right. I think we're fine. I got 9 life bottles. If you're really unlucky, sometimes the enemy could be like... The enemies never appear on the bridges, but they can be like right where the exit is. So having the Holy Bottle helps if that ever happens. Without the Holy Bottle, this is one of the harder areas to avoid encounters in. Picked up some money there because we need it. Oh! See, the thing about Holy Bottles is that... Alright, well I have Chicken Run now, so that was a quick encounter, but the thing is, Holy Bottles is they cause enemies to run... Usually they run away from you, but sometimes they run in very weird patterns, and sometimes, like, instead of, like, they'll literally, like, run... Like, as you're going forward, the enemy will actually, like, come, like... Run, like, to the right and block your path. Really annoying. So there is a bit of risk to using a Holy Bottle here.
Be careful. This place is crumbling down all around us.
It's as if no human has set foot in here for years.
So the game is making me cross the bridge to trigger this cutscene, and then I can warp back to Yondu. On my way, we're on our way to Candelar to speak with the King of Azul. I'm actually gonna pick up some treasures in this area because I'm gonna be expanding my food shop again because we're about to get the best food, unlock the best food item in the game.
Dark spaces always get me a little spooked.
The spicy chicken roll, which basically doubles the amount of experience you get in every battle that it's active. So we're going to be using it to get double experience from most of the remaining boss fights in the game. Oh, yeah, I have a puppy. I got a puppy in the house. She's pretty loud. She's all the way upstairs, too. So. I apologize.
Oh, sure is cold. Oh, Elise, you never call me Ellie anymore.
Did I? Okay, alright, I got them all. It was important for me to check that because I'd be in trouble for the next job if I missed them. Actually, okay. I just want to give myself as much. In a normal PB attempt, I would have just given all of it, but figured since it's a marathon, I'll try to get a better weapon later. All right. Oh, got something. Alright, we had enough money. Okay. So actually, I mentioned earlier how if a certain area is connected to a place where you've been,
Humans are such tenacious creatures. They can take root and establish civilization in even the harshest of lands.
yeah, so I mentioned earlier how if a certain location that you're going to is connected to a place you've been, it'll let you, like, it'll basically let you teleport to that location and skip past an area you actually haven't been through. So what I did there is I went the wrong direction. Was supposed to go left. Basically, I went to the Xillian temple there on purpose and left in order to create a restore point so that later on I can actually map warp to it past a certain map. I think they've had two Tales teams for like 10 years. There was always like Team like Vesperia and Team Destiny, I think it was called, or maybe it was Team Symphonia and Team Destiny. not even gonna bother finishing her because she only gets a few nodes, and it's just faster to wait until the next. Actually, I can. Oh no, yeah. I'm actually gonna just gonna do it now. Get it over with. You actually don't need bottle efficiency just yet, but I did it now because in the past I've forgotten to equip it later. Alright, so coming up on another boss fight against Wingle and Pressa. They are the first bosses in the game that can actually link
castle is
and use link darts.
I think that's admirable.
So they can actually do some dangerous attacks when they are linked. Also, Wingle is very fast. So it's a lot harder to target him with Fireball than most. In fact, he might be the hardest to actually target with Fireballs. I think he's the fastest boss you fight in the run. And you fight him 3 times. But if they are linked and one of them gets burned, the link partner will also get burned. So we're going to hope for a burn on both of them in this fight. Coming up. Now all of a sudden these guards that weren't coming after us on our way through are coming after us.
I warn you, he's quite strong like this. Can't understand a word he's saying, though. No matter, you'll understand.
Wingle is done.
Once we're
Super
all
Saiyan.
finished with you.
See, when I saw that he was going to do that jump move, I actually guarded. Because if you're not guarding, you can actually Okay. Alright, one's down. Now Wicked Press is pretty easy to kill, especially since he's used the fire.
His hair completely changed. And his speech, too.
As mana dramatically increased, there can be only one reason: a booster. Yes, I won't let...
Now we can warp back to Jeondu. Next boss, the boss some of you actually might recognize from another Tales game. I'm going to use that spicy chicken roll that I just bought. And actually do a quick equipment swap. We don't do much of these during the run. But I gave Rowan the Knight's Crest there to increase his chances of getting a crit. And also gave him the Feather Coat because it reduces damage from wind attacks. And gave Milla some better equipment because since Milla is the protagonist of the category I'm playing, she doesn't actually get automatic equipment upgrades. You actually have to improve her yourself. Everyone else gets at least one automatic upgrade during the run.
You'll pay for what you did!
This is our home turf! We can't lose!
Stay on guard.
This guy, he has this annoying attack where he can dive at you, but other than that, this is a pretty standard boss fight. That's actually what we want him doing, is that movement attack which is taking place. It actually isn't going to damage Rowan, because Rowan's got the Feather Coat on. That was the dive attack I'm talking about. And we got the bird! Looks like he is cooperating. Alright, nice fight.
All right, we beat
Or actually, I mean, it could have been better, but
That makes me the new ruler.
about average,
Should we
I'd
call
say.
you queen? On second thought, forget it.
Alright.
How fast that fight goes basically depends on how much he moves around. Because the more he moves, the less fireballs you can hit at him. Now the game actually forces you to talk to all your party members to advance the story. You have to go around town talking to them. Unfortunately, Alvin, being Alvin, has to be all the way at the other end of town. The other three, you have to talk to. Rowan and Elise are both in the mansion, and Leia is sitting on the stairs right outside. But Alvin has to be all the way out in the marketplace. And you can't actually talk to Jude until you talk to the other four. I got another one of those quote-unquote cutscene skips where if you do skip this, they make you select both of these options anyway. That's not really much of a time save unless you do it really fast. And sometimes if you try cutscene skipping too fast, you can like double press start, as you've probably already seen me do. So I'm gonna auto my characters, and then I'm gonna start equipping like stat boosting skills, which basically increase certain stats by a percentage. Stats like strength and agility and vitality and intelligence and dexterity and psych. But the nice thing about these skills is that they are all link skills, which means that if a party member has these skills equipped, their link partner, if they are linked, also gets them. Not only that, but these skills actually stack. So, if, let's say Rowan has intelligence equipped, and then he links with Elise, who also has intelligence equipped, Rowan now has double intelligence. So, you can actually stack those stat boosting skills by linking with characters. So even though we're not really using link darts much during the run, it's still kind of worth it to link with characters, because it can increase stats and DPS. And here is one of those screens where you can literally warp past and walk backwards, and here you are in Fenmont without going through that screen, because since you were already in Fenmont at the beginning of the game it just lets you warp to the Fenmont entrance. Although it positions you like your back turn, so you have to walk backwards. So here we are in the lab that we were at the beginning of the game. Progressing the story, and then after we do a number of cutscene skips, we warp back to the Fenmont entrance and fight our next boss. Next boss is Agria, which is the girl that you saw me literally destroy in what was technically the first boss, but not really a serious boss. But now she's going to be a serious boss. First of all, she starts with 2 minions. Second of all, she resists fire, which, ironically, even though it reduces the damage that Fireball does, Fireball is still your biggest DPS move you can use on her. But unfortunately, it is going to do less damage to her than it does to most enemies. Although she can still be burned. Like, fire resist does not make her immune to burn. And the other thing that she can do is she is the first boss that can use a Mystic Art. Mystic Arts in this game, I mean, I think I think all Tales games, in order to use a Mystic Art, you have to be an overlimit. In this game, in order to, obviously due to the way the link system works, in order for you to be able to use a Mystic Art, you obviously have to have multiple party members. You can only go into overlimit when you are linked. But enemies don't have to be linked in order to go into overlimit. They can go into overlimit anytime they want. I'm actually gonna take out this guy now. And she has a pretty dangerous mystic art that can inflict burn on like multiple party members. It's actually a good idea when a boss goes into overlimit to unlink with whoever you're linked with, because if you get hit by that mystic art and get killed, it's very likely your link partner is also going to get killed. New a link art, the boss has to, while in overlimit, use a certain arcane art. You see when they have a red exclamation mark, kind of like the blue exclamation mark for Iron Stamp. However, if you fully guard the entire arcane art, they cannot get the mystic art off. And we're actually going to get a skill in a bit that helps with that.
What's wrong?
Milla, I don't stink, do I?
No, you're totally fine.
Ah! Did I ask you?
All right.
I can lower my game audio. What? Hold on. Thought it was already pretty low. Hopefully that's a little better. I guess that kind of happens sometimes when you're doing a lot of attacks. Don't give me that junk with Battle Royale. Fortnite is overrated. All you millennials and that junk.
Are you ready?
All in a tape.
You mean Magna Carta? We got a couple of us fights to get through. The first two are pretty simple, but the third and fourth fights can actually get kind of dangerous, crazy, if the enemies do certain things. Also, I'm linking with Elise here to try and get that same victory cutscene that I got in John Blue, so that I can skip it to save some time. Plus, Elise now has some skills. I think she has dexterity, which increases art damage and also increases the chances of getting a crit. And Rowan already has the Knight's Crest.
How's that for an old man?
Also going to use an item that I got as a drop from Hammer Zam earlier to just restore everyone's TP rather than making them use gels. Hope we have enough orange gels for the Noctigal fight. Now this fight, these guys are really fast and they can come right at you and just destroy you if they want to. You really want to get these guys in a stun. They can just stomp all over you. Alright, well, that's at least died.
Are you ready?
Alright, I think we got this. Alright. We're fine now.
Are you ready?
Ooh! Yo, take these guys.
Age breeds greater experience.
Stop! I can't believe I'm visiting Orda Palace. It's like a dream come true.
Oh, this is one of those really bad status effects. Boy.
Well played.
Okay. Back off a bit. Run! Oh, dang Luckily, these guys drop something called specifics, which restore TP to everybody. I'm actually gonna use those to restore TP, and I'm also gonna restore HP. If you're lucky, sometimes you can get a level up in that last fight, and everyone will be fully healed. But I didn't get it. Now we have Noctigal, who, pretty simple fight. As long as you are not, like, close to him, shouldn't be much of a problem. Weirdly enough, if he goes into overlimit and he starts casting an art, and you're, like, casting art on him, it will delay the, time in which you can actually, get the art off. And then by the time he gets it off, he's out of overlimit, which prevent him from getting his card off. Oh, and any Castlevania fans in the chat, maybe you would have recognized some of that dialogue. But enough talk! How about you?
Time you know your place.
He does have a pretty bad attack, like that Blade Worm, I think it's called. Oh, we got the When as you do damage to enemies, like the arrow on their head gets less yellow, and when it's like almost black, it means they're close to dead. I actually held off on spells for a second, just to make sure I didn't kill it before Milla got revived.
Time you know your place.
Okay, so this is what I'm talking about, like, alright, died.
Noctigal, you have lost. I request that you stand down.
So after I skip a cutscene here, I'm actually going to pick up the third and final Ifree treasure. It gives a pretty useful skill called Impregnable Guard. It means basically your guard cannot be broken. So as long as you hold that guard, the enemy will not be able to break your guard, which means that if you're holding guard and an enemy uses an arcane art while in overlimit, they won't be able to get their mystic guard off. Also, Impregnable Guard can be very useful for a certain dangerous boss fight late in the run. Not just for skipping this boss's mystic art if they go into overlimit, but just to protect you from a certain death combo that will actually kill you from full health if you're not guarding. So coming up, after I go through this path and skip some cutscenes, there's a series of 10 battles that you have to go through. But even though there's technically appears to be 10 battles, it all counts as one fight. So all the experience you get from these fights is grouped together at the very end. So if you have a food item in place when going into it, that food item works on the experience from all of these fights.
Looks like ominous
So
clouds are
the
gathering
spicy
up.
chicken roll is going to be very useful because since we're going to get experience from all of these enemies that we're killing, we are actually going to get double EXP. And so we're basically going to go from under-level to over-level.
I'm all puffy and wet.
I hate being puffy and wet. T-Bow's swelling from all the moisture. And just like that, we're at war?
Yes. And with tens of thousands of soldiers on either side, it looks to be a massive one.
Do a shop here. Ooh. All out of, Alright. Ooh, wow, I just barely out. Do I have something I can sell? I barely ran out of money here. Alright. That hasn't happened yet. Maybe I shouldn't have bought those apple gels. Not to mention I was like completely out on life bottles, so that probably something to do with it. I hope it doesn't become a problem after this.
Tipo, I know you're concerned.
Look at this giant
So
plant.
for most of these fights, I'm actually going to be
You
using
can use
Wind
the
Lance,
too. Don't
which
splash
is,
mud on
you've
me.
seen me use it a bit
sorry
earlier,
about that.
but basically, it's very useful on battles with multiple enemies, because Rowan's art tuning with Wind Lance basically allows him to cast an additional Wind Lance, as you're seeing there. You can like hit multiple enemies at once. This is also one of those fights where you actually want to be watching the enemies, see when they're about to die, so you can cancel Fireball at the right time and move it towards the next enemy. Also, another thing about this fight is that while there are enemies that start on the field during each phase, as you kill enemies, more enemies spawn. So the Wind Lance is not actually going to ever going to kill all of them, because the enemies are respawning, like after you kill the initial one. And also, since technically there's like a different phase beginning, sometimes they'll actually like your party members will actually use an auto item at the very beginning, even though you immediately do the next set of arts, if they have time to use the auto item.
I'll take them down, no matter what.
Hey, you're pushing yourself too hard.
fall back and rest.
I'm okay.
Alvin's right. We still have a ways to go.
I told you, I'm fine. Just focus
So
on
there I canceled my art just to make sure, right before I was about to cast the fireball, just to make sure that that the enemy wasn't going to die. That way, if they did die, I could retarget the fireball to the next enemy and have an instant cast. And not actually waste fireballs.
When will this end?
We're so damn close.
Hey, are you okay?
Come on. You have to take me down.
Alvin, are you sure you're alright?
Would I lie at a time like this?
Well, I don't know.
That part of me is gone.
I'm sure that's a lie.
Gotta be serious sometimes.
Hey, come on, guys. Less talking, more fighting.
Die.
so close.
I know I do. But this is war. It's nothing but a sight that cuts down the dreams and lives of our youth. I take no pleasure in all yours of my years were on the battlefield. And despite my efforts, such travesty.
Immediate direction.
You can't give up. You'll find a way to stop all of this.
You're right, of course. Our destination is just up ahead. Let us make haste.
I'm here.
Damn it. Just leave us alone already.
If only battles could be ended by simply asking.
We can always win.
Are you ready?
Ooh, Super Dream.
Don't worry.
That can also happen sometimes at the start of
No
fight.
one asked for your help.
You should be alright with that much energy.
Out of my way!
Leia, don't rush forward lest you'll be completely surrounded.
Things are not looking good, Milla.
I know. But we can't retreat. We must keep pushing onward.
Oh, just barely reached it there.
I'm here!
Hang in there.
You too, Jude.
I'm not giving up.
You hear that? None of us will give up.
Most enemies seem to spawn in the final fight.
Can you still keep up?
Of course.
Yes.
Alright.
Now we fight the Chimeriad. And this can be kind of a scary fight at the beginning because there are 3 enemies, but they don't actually have that much health. Like when you fight them like alone. The game obviously did that to kind of balance it. But it's still pretty scary at the start because there are 3 of them. And they can all use Link Darts and Mystic Arts. You want to get out of window first. It's problematic. Also, if Wingle gets his Mystic Art off, it's a guaranteed one-shot. Joust, I believe, can only reduce to like 1 HP. Hopefully we get a burn on them when they're linked.
Time for some fun.
This one's not too bad. But that one doesn't do much. There's a link dart. Alright, we got Wingle down. The others probably don't have much health left.
As expected from the Chimeriad.
Can't imagine fighting them all at once.
We'd still win, no matter what.
That's right.
As long as Milla's around.
That just keeps...
Now this next fight, you actually don't have to win. And it's actually pretty difficult to win. Kind of like, I guess, Kratos when you go to the Tower of Salvation in Symphonia. So I'm actually going to swap Alvin here, and we're gonna try and we're gonna take a death basically. We're going to lose on purpose, and we're gonna try to do it as fast as possible. So I swapped Alvin in since we haven't developed him at all since before Zhao, beginning of the run, so he can easily die quickly. And also I'm going to do another part of the manipulation for the final fight by linking Leia with Milla here, and then swapping out Jude. Also turn off auto items so that nobody gets healed or revived.
Giant, in the name of the Great Spirit, I shall defeat you.
You underestimate me.
And yet, do you think you can handle us alone?
I think you're underestimating us.
You're all getting ahead of yourselves. Witness what you...
So now the party is going to get separated. This next fight, forced fight, Milla is going to fight alone. We're just going to destroy it with Windblade. And then we're going to get Alvin... I'm sorry, no, not... We're going to get Rowan and Leia shortly after. And we're going to go into the fire cave.
If we must. Windblade,
Should have been closer to him.
Windblade.
You want to be close to the enemy when using Windblade, because, like, you can take a double hit.
Windblade. My sword rings true.
Those text boxes were just basically telling me that the area map was no longer accessible. It's stupid because there's so many other times in the game when the area map is not accessible, yet this time they have to put up a text box to tell you. I'm gonna buy a few holy bottles here. Alright. And from this point forward, I'm actually going to start picking up some gathering points and loot bags. Because I have holy bottles, so I'm not too concerned about enemies like coming after me. And at this point, the materials that you can pick up are actually pretty good. And often worth picking up. Unless you get something stupid like jet black feathers. Ooh, monster fluid. That's really nice. But, obviously, you'd rather pick up gathering points than loot bags because, first of all, it's faster since you don't have to hear the opening of the bag sound, which takes a second. And second of all, I think they're less likely to give you jet black feathers and gold than the loot bags are. But obviously, we're going to pick up whatever we can come across on the way. And I am going to pick up a few more treasures with materials as well.
Feel the beat
And ride the rhythm.
all the way to victory.
There's also a free spicy chicken roll you can pick up in a chest, which is pretty convenient. Again, only for Milla's side. And conveniently for Milla's side, you get Rowan in the party, which even though we're fighting a fire boss, fireball is still the best way to damage him. Although he can be pretty nasty if he decides to, like, move around. Plus, he's got a few minions, and he can summon more minions if he wants to troll. If you're on Jude's side, you go to the ice cave and have to fight ice dragons with Alvin. That's fun.
With a disciplined mind, even flames can feel cool.
So you say. They seem plenty hot to me.
I'm sweating out of like every pore. I feel so disgusting.
Oh, indeed.
I'm gonna take out the minions first. Retarget quickly. Usually they go... The minions are actually, ironically, weak to fire. Well, the first minions you can summon, the ones you can summon later, like those guys, they are got the burn.
Ugh, like I got fried.
My mustache sings just well.
I'm sorry. This is my fault.
No, that's not true.
So this is a...
Ah. We've gotten pretty lucky with materials, except for that one bag of jet black feathers. Basically, we're picking up materials now because, as I mentioned, Milla doesn't get any automatic equipment upgrades, and eventually we do want to upgrade her weapon for better DPS. Eventually, she is going to be able to do major damage once we get Undine back. You saw me used to destroy enemies at the beginning, in the first 3 minutes of the run. And now, quick warp. Why we went to Xillia Temple earlier. Quick warp across that map. Yeah, so we're just advancing the story right now with some cutscenes. Cutscene skips.
Does it... Alvin's always weird.
All right. Now this is some pretty nice gear.
So what they're talking about now is how they all got new gear from
always
being
say,
out of the party. Goes into my point of how you get a lot more equipment upgrades on Milla's side than Jude. And now we're gonna come across
The snowfall
the
sure is
hardest
getting heavy.
enemy to dodge in the game. Because he can literally just block your path if you're unlucky. And in this case, it's actually faster to force the encounter than to wait for him to despawn if he blocks your path. So let's see what happens. Alright. Yeah, so see, he was basically blocking my path. So I either had to take the encounter or wait for him to despawn. And since it's a preemptive with Holy Bottle and I have Chicken Run, it's actually faster to just take the encounter there. If you're lucky, sometimes they'll move in the other way and you won't get the encounter at all. But it's better to just take the encounter in that instance than to wait for them to despawn.
Milla, the castle is this way.
Now we have some forced fights that are pretty standard. Should destroy them in like less than 10 seconds. Except for one, I think can go a little more than 10.
Now, shall we begin? A most excellent rhythm.
I'll do my best.
A most excellent rhythm.
This is the one that can go a little longer. They can jump if they want to. Even though they play the boss fight, this is a very standard fight. In fact, you don't even get boss level experience from it until fight.
All energies. There's always.
And as you saw, I got the Rowan and Elise victory cutscene again, so I was able to skip right through it. Yes, magic is definitely OP in this game. And so we're just gonna walk around and trigger some story cutscenes that we have to skip before we can advance the plot. Also, well, I guess since we're playing on a new game, you want to avoid save points because if you touch a save point, you get that tutorial box, which wastes like a second. And if you get it in like an area with encounters, it can actually lead to an enemy like getting in on you. So we're just gonna talk to Gaius here. I'm not gonna bother cutscene skipping this since it's just select an option, which I would have to select even if I selected cutscene skip. And now, fight where they play the boss fight music only because there's one extra soldier, but it's really no different than the ones we fought earlier. Yeah, or I guess it's four soldiers.
Am I
Still,
too strong?
5
Just
seconds.
the strongest?
And now we've reached the jazz ship. Probably the hardest dungeon to learn navigation-wise when you're getting through this when you're learning the speedrun. And casually, it's probably even harder to realize where you're supposed to go. The game doesn't directly tell you where the generators are.
That was a little too easy. Yeah, we need a real challenge.
All right.
The way enemies actually work in this dungeon is that, I mean, they're always in the first few rooms, like this one, and then the one we're going to go in right now. However, after that, there aren't going to be any enemies appearing until an alert appears where they say something like, the enemy has infiltrated the port sector. And when they say that, that means that the next time you enter a screen, enemies are going to be there. So when this holy bottle wears off, I won't actually have to use another one until I get that alert.
Some kind of celebrity if
And that's when I'm going to do the next menu. Also, I'm going to pick up some materials while getting through here.
My natural grace and talent need no such qualifiers.
And as well as a few chests, which have materials and a very useful accessory that I don't know if any runner even knew about. Something I discovered not too long ago, and it's going to make an upcoming boss fight a lot safer. Usually when coming out of those teleport rooms, you just have to move left. In fact, that's usually what you always do, although I am going to be moving in slightly different directions at some times just to get some certain items. The only downside to me picking up some stuff here is that it causes the alert to appear sooner, so it's pretty much impossible for me to get through all the rooms without the enemies. But that's not that big a deal. I think it's actually RNG when exactly the alert happens. Like, there's a timer, but like, it doesn't always, like, even if you do movement the exact same way each time, it doesn't always run out at the exact same time. And then in this next teleporter room, I'm gonna pick up something called a reverse dial, which basically gives the character who equips it a free auto life. You'll see why soon. Wrong way. Yeah, I'm probably getting the alert early now. This is the other generator. Once these generators are gone and you skip the cutscenes, you go back to the room where you started.
To the central hall.
And you can proceed. I might actually get the cutscene as soon after I pick up this chest in this next room. You don't have to pick up, but I'm gonna do it because it makes the shop expansion menu faster and more consistent. It's not too out of the way. Like with this, I'll be able to. I will for certain be able to get the item shop to level 20.
The enemy has...
Yeah, so it's going to be in this next screen. Alright. I'm actually going to do a manual for Milla in this menu to get her a specific skill. So now, as you see, the enemies have appeared.
Port sector, roger
so it's going to be a little bit slower getting through these since I have to be careful. Even with Holy Bottle, it's still a very narrow area, and their movements are a little bit unpredictable. Also, in that menu, I equipped HP and TP Surge. Or actually, I didn't even... I don't even know if Rowan even has TP Surge, but even if he can learn it, at this point, it's not even necessary because, as I mentioned earlier, Rowan pretty much never runs out of TP with the skills I have equipped, which, like, reduces the amount of TP he uses if he uses the same art over and over, which is what we've been doing, constantly casting Fireball. Plus, Fireball doesn't cost much as it is. And then but basically what HP and TP Surge do is they, if a character is brought back from death, they are revived with full HP and TP. So it's basically like a full heal. Pretty broken skill. And since we're so over-leveled, we are able to get it even in a speedrun. It's quite helpful because this next boss can get a bit scary. And this guy's... The guy was trying to block my way. And now meet Gillen and Celsius. These bosses, they can't do Mystic Arts, but they can Link, and they have a very dangerous Linked Art, and Gillen has this very dangerous beam attack that can just wipe everybody. So we're going to try and take him out first. And Celsius is annoying because she's very fast.
Out of our way.
Wait, you're right. We should not underestimate Celsius.
This is my ultimate creation.
Ooh, we got Link Seal. Oops. Yeah, actually. That's actually what I do want to do. To get... One thing that's annoying about auto items is that if you actually want to use an item manually, sometimes you actually have to turn auto items off just to make sure your party members won't use an auto item before you have the chance to use it. And then you have to turn it back on. It's kind of annoying. Ooh, I think we got the burn on Gillen. Somebody's burned. Nice! Ooh! Overlimit's not actually that dangerous now that Gillen's dead. Oh no!
A power matching
Okay,
that
this
of the
can
great
be
spirit.
bad.
The power of Spyrite.
Doesn't matter. Gillen's ambitions end here.
Alright.
Just keeps...
Luckily, Milla still has HP and TP Surge, but she just missed experience from Gillen. That is really bad, especially for this next boss that's coming up. God. Such a... Oh yeah, this is gonna be fun. Luckily, it's... Now you're gonna see why I picked up that reverse style. Alright, well... So basically, now you're all... Milla, spoiler alert, is dead. And she's now a spirit. She's gotten all her spirit abilities. She's gotten the power of the 4 great spirits back, so we'll finally be able to use Undine again. But, unfortunately, since she's in the spirit world, and everyone else is in the real world, we only have Milla as a party member. She's the only character in the party. So basically, I'm just going to Niakara right now to create a restore point, because the game actually makes you walk all the way back to Eladi Sea Haven. Even though technically we've been through these areas before, since we're in the spirit world, it doesn't count towards the map warp. So we have to revisit all the areas again in order to put them on the map. and thus we can't teleport back to Eladi Sea Haven. We have to walk all the way, which gives us some time to pick up more materials. The game actually doesn't even tell you what to do here. It just tells you to go wherever you want. Really nice game instruction. So I guess I should just explain what this next boss is going to do to me. So basically, this next boss is a solo fight against Muse. Probably the last really dangerous boss of the run. Mainly because you only have Milla in the party. And while she does have lower HP on the Milla side than she does on the Jude side, she's still very dangerous. She has this one particular combo that, if you're not guarding, will one-shot you even from full health. She can also overlimit, and when she's in overlimit, she can use an attack called Elemental Hymn, which is her arcane art, and if you're not guarding it, she can activate her mystic art, and she can also cast something called Sunburst, which is probably the most dangerous spirit art a boss can use in the whole game. It's basically like this big AoE fire attack that, like, attacks all targets. There's no way to dodge it. And even if you magic guard it, in this particular case, the boss can actually start moving after the fireball is in the air. So while you're trying to guard the spell, she can literally just come over to you and combo you to death. Isn't that fun? And it's gonna be even worse now that I'm under-leveled. Before that, I'm actually going to do the last shop, where I'm actually going to buy some better items now that we have more money and more materials to expand shops. We're actually going to start using pineapple and lemon gels more, which restores 60% of HP, TP and HP respectively instead of just 30. Also going to buy, I'm going to donate just enough to get the item shop to 20 so I can get those items, and then donate everything to the weapon shop to get whatever I can get for Milla as a weapon. It's, as I mentioned, it's RNG, what materials you get and how many points you're gonna get for them. Also, there's the bonus that you can get from the shop can play a factor, because the shops have like a ×2 and ×3 bonus for certain types of materials. So that can play a factor in whether you get like the Porous Blade, or I think the really good weapon you can get is... Oh! I did not see that! Those wolves, the enemies here basically camouflage into the area. And yeah, we don't have Chicken Run, so that's a slow escape.
What a pain. We could fly there in a heartbeat if we just tethered up.
Oh, you've actually speedrun Jude, RG?
Feel free to go ahead.
I'm actually interested in routing and learning that. You have a run that you can show me, feel free. Unless you meant you've just played Jude casually. Alright, so yeah, the game basically forces you come all the way here just to watch these cutscenes before you can actually go back to Neokara, which is why it's so important to create that restore point, because otherwise you are walking all the way back. Well, I guess there's no point in doing Milla's Lilium Orb now, except for, I guess, activating those 2 nodes. Just, who knows? Maybe she'll get... Maybe those 2 nodes actually increases her TP, so it might be worth doing that, but she's not gonna get anything since she missed experience. I'll just have to basically do her whole menu after. Actually, can I activate Spirit too? I might still be able to get that skill. Okay, let's play a little game chat. Predict how many times Muse is going to kill me because I'm underleveled. I did not see that one!
I'm ready.
Time to retreat.
Oh, I just barely missed level 50. I think she gets the better weapon at that level. So, okay. I don't need a restock on that. Oh, she did get the Vorpal Sword. Okay, so something that will help, I suppose. Oh no, I can't get it. At least I got some TP and intelligence though. And I had to activate those manually anyway. Okay, so the optimal order to do this in.
What's happening?
If she knocks you down with that move, she's probably going to use Sharpen Whip right after. That's the combo that if you're not guarding, you're dead. And that's why Impregnable Guard really helps. Luckily, I have reverse style, which means if I die once, I will be automatically revived at full HP and TP.
I'll rip you apart.
Here's over limit.
Elemental hand! Enough! Elemental hand! Spider throw! Sharpen roots!
I also have another item that can help.
Sharpen whip! Die! That's enough!
Alright, once she has like less than half her health, she starts using that move more, which is actually better. She's more dangerous when she's taken less damage, ironically. I'm gonna use a pineapple just in case. Oh, I didn't need it.
That was very close.
Well,
Am I strong?
if you guessed 0, you won. So now we're gonna climb up the Niakara Halomont, another linear area. Enemies can often block your way, and there's this really big, fat enemy that can just be such a pain in the rear end. Oh, and these guys, they have very annoying movement patterns. Ideally, you want to get through this as fast as possible because the holy bottle you have now, you want to last through most of the map. Actually, it doesn't even matter where it runs out in Olympias because you can just use another one immediately, and that one should last through the rest of the game. And these enemies have ridiculous hitboxes. Like, I'm talking, like the butterflies, they have like such stupid hitboxes. Like, even if you're not like directly touching them, like you could be in the range to get the encounter. So stupid. And this is the fat one I was talking about. Okay. So basically, after this, we have Maxwell. We're gonna get all our party members back. They're gonna have insanely good equipment, which is something you don't get on Jude's side. And also, we're going to start, instead of using Splash and Negative Gate, we're going to start using Undine with Milla and Dreadwings with Elise, which are going to do more damage. Also, Rowan's going to get an accessory called the Mystic Emblem, which is going to reduce casting time for Fireballs, so we're going to get Fireballs off faster. And we're going to give the Night Crest over to Milla for a better crit chance. Also, I'm going to give something to Jude for later, since it's just convenient to do now. Alright, I have more things I have to equip Milla now since I couldn't equip it earlier. Anything else? I think that's it for her.
Everyone, there is nothing to fear. Even the great Maxwell.
Oh! Instant Leia death. Now this boss, he has the ability to change his weakness and resistances. He starts resistant to fire, which is unfortunate. And depending on what like the elemental mode he's in, the arcane art needed to do his Mystic Art using Overlimit is different. Luckily, he doesn't move around as much. So ideally, we just want to kill him before he can go into Overlimit. I think we're getting that. Yeah, here it is.
Get us both the origins of time and space.
See, you can guard the Arcane Art, but your party members are probably not going to. So, and there's nothing really you can do about it.
An unfortunate side
Alright.
effect.
Unfortunately, that didn't burn. This fight can go either really fast if you cooperate, or kind of slow if you decide to use that Mystic Art. Or Sunburst. You can also use Sunburst.
How can this be?
I heard a voice.
Yeah.
It called
Ideally, you
out
want
to
that
me
fight
and
to go under a minute.
Milla.
It's really you.
No,
I need
Just keep...
I'm quite impressed with these armaments.
So now we've reached Olympias.
I don't know. You were pretty strong to begin with.
The world of
This city is made of stone and metal.
This is the Olympian city of
3
Triglyph.
locations.
Welcome, visitors from Riza
Not
and
counting
Vexia.
the world map area and the dimensional breach. There's Triglyph, there's Xillia Fortress, and then there's this optional dungeon where you can fight one of the Devil's Beasts.
You look really great, Rowan.
Well, thank you. I suppose it takes a gentleman of considerable years to pull off a look as splendid as this.
So this is the world that Maxwell cut off and left to die. And yet, I can't...
So, the next 2 bosses are pretty straightforward. Like you can kill Volt very quickly. The only thing
This
he can
lamp is
really
casting
do
light
is he
without
can
channeling
bounce
spirits.
around, and I think he can inflict burn. And
Perhaps that
then we have
cable
the
is somehow
solo
conveying
Wingle
luminescent
fight,
energy to that lamp.
which is probably the easiest of the 3 Wingle fights because you can do a lot more damage to him. Although, as always,
What a
he's very
dreary
fast and he can
landscape.
move out of the way of your attacks. But they're not overly dangerous. It's not moving the right way. Another thing about holy bottles is that they will not actually work unless on enemies that are over your base party level. Or, I don't know if it's average party level, or like party level of the protagonist, or just lowest character's party level, or highest character's party level. But basically, like, if the enemy is, like, higher level than you, they will ignore your holy bottle and come after you. So if I had not gotten the the ×2 experience from Maxwell there, all the enemies in this dungeon would just ignore this holy bottle and come right after me. Because it's obviously very late in the game. And now regular encounter enemies are stronger. And even with all the experience, as you enter the final dungeon, there's always that one enemy guarding, and he always is too high level and will ignore your holy bottle. Actually, I think there's a small chance that the enemy is a little it will go away from you, depending on what it is. But usually they come after you. So you have to actually avoid it. Oh, okay. All right. That's the troll movement of enemies when reacting to the holy bottle. When you get like 2 of them close together and they're just blocking your path.
I'm not afraid of the dark. Do your worst.
We're counting on you.
Oh, that was a close one.
I'm still scared.
Hey, get off me.
You can't.
Unlike earlier Tales games, lightning and ice are actually not elements in this. I think ice is considered water and ground, or water and earth, and lightning is considered fire and wind. This guy's actually resistant to fireball. But me to, but at this point we're still high level, it doesn't matter much. And here starts bouncing around. So it's kind of hard to target him when he's doing it. Okay. Boss actually, I think, can overlimit, like he just did, but he doesn't have any regard. Alright.
Okay.
That was a pretty bad bullfight.
Everyone all right?
Yes, somehow.
All the electric shocks may have helped my blood circulation.
Ideally, you want under 40 seconds. So now we are coming up on the final stretch. So we're gonna first we're gonna go through a few more maps and head to the dimensional breach, and then we're going to quick jump back to Triglyph for some more cutscenes, and then quick warp back to the dimensional breach for the final dungeon. Also, we're going to use a food item that I got very right after Hammer Zam. I've been saving it until now, since we've gotten all the experience that we need. Now we just need to be, we just want to use a food item that's going to increase our damage and defense, which the fruit yakisoba will do.
I don't understand. The spirit fossil came off. How is she able to continue walking?
Oops. I think we're on pace to meet estimate, as long as the final fights don't go terribly. Alright, so now we're approaching the final dungeon, and now you get to watch the most boring Lilium Orb menu in the run. Because the game, for the final dungeon, actually forces Jude into your party. And since we haven't been using Jude since Hammer Zam, or actually we used him for a few fights in John Doe, but basically we haven't developed him since before Hammer Zam, and so now we have to develop his entire Lilium Orb in one menu. That's gonna be fun. Also, gonna pick up this Omega Elixir for safety.
I feel much stronger. You're really coming into your own. What a crazy place! But that's okay.
Oh, I got the enemy that it actually didn't ignore the holy bottle. Yeah, there are 2 orbs.
I don't know your language, but I do understand your will.
But we can't afford to back down either. We shall defeat you and proceed onward.
Yeah, I gotta move out of the way here. He was too close. Got the guard cancel on one of those. Ooh, over limit. And that is why I unlinked with Elise. Because she's gonna die, and if I had not unlinked with her, Rowan would be dead too.
Are you ready? Are you ready? I wish we had met under different circumstances.
Rowan. Oh, I can't.
Just keep...
It actually doesn't even matter if a character dies on that fight, because we're not developing our orbs anymore. Except maybe could affect how the holy bottle works, but I don't think so. I'm also going to pick up an hourglass here, which is a useful item for the final fight. Also, what's fortunate is that I actually have a full link gauge, so I can do an instant overlimit on the next boss, which is Muse 2. A little bit easier than Muse 1, because this time you get 2 party members. Unfortunately, the second party member is not Rowan. It's Jude, which is why we had to do all that Lilium orb development for him. But you're actually going to be seeing, for the first time in like 2 hours, you're actually going to be seeing some Link darts. Luckily, a few of them she's actually weak to because they're light elemental. First we got this fourth fight. Pretty standard fight with Kill Redeem.
Who's next? You picked the wrong fight.
So this we started with just Milla alone, and now we got Jude, and then we just, that's basically the dungeon, pretty much.
Suppose you won't just step aside for us.
Of course not. Why should I follow any of your requests?
Very well, then.
Right here with you.
I don't understand. Why are you always treated differently? Why is it always you?
Let's go.
Ooh, boy.
I'll rip you apart.
Safety.
This isn't looking good.
Don't worry. I'm here with you.
Elemental hand!
I don't think so.
Elemental hand!
Finish that.
Uh-oh. Alright.
We shall
Pass.
Unfortunately, I had to burn my Omega Elixir there, but luckily there is one other Omega Elixir I can pick up right before the final boss. And for marathon safety, I'm actually going to get it.
One wrong step and it's all over.
True. But isn't that sort of danger just business as usual at this point?
I think it's this part. Yeah, I think this is the chest. Yeah, got it. Alright. So this final boss acts on a timer. Basically, you start with Jude and Milla, and then as the fight continues, party members will join. Now, I mentioned the manipulation. Basically, the order in which the party members join your party here is based on how much time they've spent linked with Milla. So, it was very important throughout the run that I had certain characters linked with Milla for a certain amount of time, so that they will appear in a certain order that I want them to. More specifically, I don't want Alvin to show up until the very end. Preferably, I'd like to just kill these two before he even shows up. Let's see if we can do that.
We'll last until we defeat you. Let's do this, Milla.
Time to finish this.
So Rowan's gonna show up here to revive Milla. He's just gonna be on standby at first for item usage until Elise shows up, and then we're gonna switch to our normal spam fireball, editing, Beam strategy. Until then, I'm just gonna use link darts on Muse.
We were waiting for you. I must say,
Also gonna... Okay, can't move.
Truly a pity. Of all people, I expect you to at least follow the right path.
Expecting too much from me. I am no different from everyone else here.
So be it. Your age won't matter when I strike you down.
I plan to see the future. I hate to break expectation again, but I will not lose.
Yeah, stun attack. Alright, I don't think we're getting the skip.
I can do this! I hope. Lock on target! Charge complete!
You gotta get preferably you gotta kill Muse at least once before Elise shows up to get the Alvin skip, because Muse actually gets a free revival. She has an ability called Angel's Cry, so she's actually gonna be instantly revived here. Not to full health, but and unfortunately she's magic guarding.
We do! We really do! But I finally found my own reasons to live, and I don't want to lose these feelings. That's enough from you.
So, Leia shows up next, that means I can do manipulation correctly.
Much appreciated.
Yep.
Let's do
Alright.
this! Bam!
So basically, Alvin shows up at the very end. You get enough damage to kill them before he even appears, but that's not gonna happen, because we haven't even killed Muse
Sorry I'm late.
the second time.
Are you ever gonna stop worrying about me?
Someday. Now we can use your help.
Alright, so now Muse's dead, and all we got left is
The
Gaius.
instability of Spyrite.
It's simple.
So I'm gonna swap Alvin in. I'm sorry, I'm gonna swap Alvin out once he
There's
appears,
not much else to it.
because if I leave him in, he's just gonna get destroyed. He has like 500 HP. Or 636.
Let me handle this.
Let's see how much little damage the Mystic Guard does. Also, one thing I really like about this final boss is that since we don't actually use Mystic Guards during the
Keep
run,
you waiting?
we never actually get to see them,
No
but
pleasant greetings?
actually use. But this final boss lets you actually see 4 of the 6 characters in Mystic Guards. And we're coming up on time here. Time will be, after we kill Gaius, time will be after the victory experience, which, although we don't actually get experience, but after the victory experience is when time is. Alright,
Is
and
it
he's dead.
over?
Yes, no doubt about it.
Victory's ours.
We did it!
Milla!
Yes, it's finally over.
And time.
Three hours, 27 minutes, and 23 seconds.
Yep. barely beat estimate.
Hey, as long as we're under there. I was literally a marathon. I was under by 1 second. And I was like, it counts.
My PB is actually a 314, so this was a pretty bad run.
Once again, it's all gone.
Thank you for the GGs, everybody.
Everything.
Yeah, and thank you for
Your
coming
vision
in
of
a
the
run for the
future
marathon.
offers nothing but
Hopefully next
suffering
year.
to
Hoping
people.
thus.
Hopefully next year I'll have the Jude route finish and I can do
Even
any
if
percent
we
Jude.
unite the two worlds,
Yeah, man. Looking
it is
forward to
pure
it.
fantasy to think
But,
that they will
thanks everybody
cooperate
for
with one
watching so
another.
far. We're gonna go through a quick intermission while we set the
Maybe
next
you're
run,
right.
and then we'll be
Maybe
right
my
back.
dreams for the future
Don't go
are
anywhere.
hopelessly naive. But still, Milla never stopped believing in me. And so did you, Gaius. Didn't you?
And what does